You guys are having some trouble with your homework, so let me try and help you guys out. We'll start with number 11. I'm not going to do the entire problem, but I am going to set you up. Here, they give you a vertex of 0, 0, so meaning that the vertex is right here at the origin. Next, they give you a directrix of x plus 1 equals 0. So just solve for x, and I'll tell you what x is. So for the most part, you get x equals negative 1. That's your directrix. And x equals negative 1 is a vertical line. So since the directrix is a vertical line, this is your vertex right here. Remember, your vertex is halfway in between your focus and your directrix. So that will put your focus right here. Meaning this right here is your focus at 1, 0. So with that, you know exactly that this parabola right here opens this way. Your parabola is going to go this way. Don't know what it's going to look like, but it's going to look, so basically it's going to go sideways. Now, being that we have all of that, since it goes sideways, we know what equation we have to use. The equation that we're going to have to use in this case is x minus h equals a times y minus k squared, because it's a sideways parabola. Thing is, we already know what h and k are. You have h here, you have k here. So since you already know, you can go ahead and put those things in. It'll be x minus 0 equals a times y minus 0 squared. And then from there, you simplify, and all you have to do is find out what a is. That's one thing that we did in class to show you what a is. And you can find out what a is as long as you know what c is. C being the distance between these 2 points right here. That's one way you can solve it. Another way you can solve it is, another way you can actually solve this, let me clear this off, and let's keep the parabola there. And let's put the focus back here. Remember, our focus is 1, 0. Now, remember, the distance from the focus to the parabola should be the same distance to the directrix. All right? So since those distances should be the same, then that means that we have two distances. Those distances have to be the same. Then that means this point right here, remember, we don't know what the coordinates are, so we're just going to call that pxy, right? This is f10. This right here, we're going to call this point D, and we'll call this D, and we don't know what the y coordinate is, but we know the x coordinate because this line is x equals negative 1. So we know that the first coordinate is negative 1. Second coordinate we don't know, we're just going to put y. So remember, this right here, I'll even change colors so you can see. This length, this distance right here is PF. This distance right here is PD. Now, it's really just establishing your actual coordinates. If, in fact, you make this x1, y1, and you make this x2, y2 right here, you can find what PF is. With that, you know that PF is going to be, I'll put the equal sign as soon as this works. PF is going to be the square root of, remember, x2 minus x1. In this case right here, it's going to be x minus 1 squared plus, and y2 minus y1, which is y minus 0 squared. PD is the square root of, now in this case, we're going to change up x1, y1. Let's make this x1, y1. So that means it's going to be, once again, x2 minus x1, which is going to be, in this case, x plus 1 squared, and then y2 minus y1, which is going to be plus y minus y squared. So then from here, all you're looking for is you have that PF equals PD. And doing that, that's going to set you up to solve that equation. And in your notebook, you'll see the expansion on what that, so basically you're setting these equal to each other, and then you're going through the actual process of how to actually do that. So go ahead and try that. Hopefully that helps with what you're trying to do. This problem right here with number 15, they give you a vertex of 3, 2 and a focus of 3, 4. So let's label those things. So you can see this is your vertex, that's your focus. So remember, the vertex is midway through and it's 2 away. So that means that your directrix is going to be the x-axis. So in other words, so looking at that, that's going to be y equals 0. So that's what your directrix is. Now with that, knowing that, you'll be able to tell that the parabola is going to open this way, something that looks like that. Now we set this up the same exact way. If this is the point from the focus to the vertex is the same distance as from, well, the focus to the parabola is the same distance to the directrix. So those must be the same distance. It might not look like it now, but they should be. They better be. They have to be. So with that, we're able to set up, if in fact, once again, I'm going to make this my point here, pxy. And here, I'm going to make my point here. We know the y coordinate. We don't know the x coordinate. So I'm going to make this dx0. Then from there, you find out what pf is, find out what pd is. Set them equal to each other. And that's how you'll be able to find out what your equation is. Let's see if I can help you with some more. Number 19, I can probably help you a little bit on. With a problem like this, you're just completing the square. So like you don't even have to move anything around or anything like that. All you're doing is completing the square. So this divided by 2 and then squared, you're adding 4 here and you're adding 4 over here. So if you do that, that's going to be y minus, I'm sorry, I don't want to mess that up, y minus 2 squared equals 4x plus 4. You factor out the 4 and then bring to the other side, you have your equation. So let's do that. That's going to be 4, take out the 4, that's going to be, oh, I'm sorry, not x plus 2, but x plus 1. Equals y minus 2 squared. So we take the 4 over to the other side, and that's going to be x plus 1 equals 1/4 y minus 2 squared. So now looking at it, that's the equation of our parabola, and we can tell based off of this which way it opens up. The y term is the one that's squared. So since that term is squared, this is going to be a sideways parabola. So that means we're looking at the equation x minus h equals a times y minus k squared. So if we're looking at that, start plugging things in. From here, you should be able to know what the vertex is. And if you know the vertex, you should know what the focus is, based on the chart of how you actually find these things. Then you also know that A equals 1/4. So that means you also know that A equals 1/4C. So basically, you are just trying to find out what C equals. And you do that because 1/4C equals 1/4. So what does C have to be? C has to be 1, because these two things should be equal. Once you have C, you can find the focus. You can find out what the directrix is. And you already knew what the axis of symmetry is going to be. You already knew that based off what we did the last chapter. So from here, you should be able to find all of those things. The important part was really just forming the parabola. Let me see if I can help you with some more. All right, let's work this one now and see if in fact we... All right, so what we did in these cases, we put the x's on one side and everything else on the other. Since this is the square term, we're going to do that. So we have x squared plus 10x on one side. On the other side is going to be 2y minus 21. Complete this square and leave that for now. So if in fact we complete that square, divide by 2 and square it, this should be plus 25 right here. So we're going to add 25 to this side. So if in fact we do that, then that means that this simplifies to be x plus 5 squared. Over here, negative 21 and 25, this is going to be 2y plus 4, I think. Okay. So you just keep on going from there. Take the 2, add factor out of 2 out of here. That's going to be y plus 2 equals x plus 5 squared. Now, with that, you switch all of, well, actually, you take this over to the other side and then flip it around the equal sign, and you should end up with y plus 2 equals, what's that, 1/2 x plus 5 squared. From here, you should know what the vertex is going to be. Find out what C is based off what you have here. You could find out what C is. So you know the vertex. Once you find C, you can find out what the focus is. Then from here, you can do the directrix. And you could have found the axis of symmetry a long time ago. So that's how you do that one as well. The last one is asking you to graph this. You know how to graph this. Why? Because you know how to graph this. So if you know how to graph that, you know how to graph this. The only difference between the two is what? So with that being said, I'm gone.